Hello everyone. In today's lecture, we are going to see the Amazon Content Delivery Network. In short, it is termed as CDN. So, what basically is CDN? What does it do? Well, very briefly, before going into this content, I am going to tell you very briefly what is CDN. For example, you have a dynamic website and there is a server, there is a origin server on which your website's data is present. Now, when the user is going to interact with the with your dynamic website, so if the user has to connect or the website has to connect every time a user requests some data, if the user has to go to the main server every time, the latency is going to be very high. So what CDN does is if I attach the CDN with EC2 or S3, what it does is it creates a edge location for your website. Now what that edge location do is that edge location will contain the all the cached data of your website. So and that edge location is going to be very close to the user. So user because there are many huge number of edge locations provided by Amazon. So the edge location is going to interact with the origin server. It is going to store the cached data with it, and the user can directly interact with the edge location. So the latency uh, of the data, latency means the time it is taking to get the data from the server or the edge location, that is going to be the latency. So if we place the edge location between the user and the server, the latency of the data received is going to be very decreased. It's going to be decreased. So a content delivery network, let us see what is the content. A content delivery network is a network of interconnected servers that speeds up web page loading for data heavy applications. Okay, so if you have a huge amount of application and if you have a huge amount of application and it requires a lot of data uh, by the user, so and the data is repetitive in nature, so we can easily cache it at an edge location and then the user can access it. A CDN stands for content delivery network or content distribution network, second point. Third point, when a user visits a website, data from that website server has to travel across the internet to reach the user's computer. If the user is located far from that server, it will take a long time to load a large file such as a video or website image. Instead, the website content is stored on CDN servers geographically closer to the users and reaches their computer much faster. So that's what I have discussed, that we create a CDN server, or we can call it a edge location. Okay, so next, moving forward, what are the benefits of this? Reduce page load time, reduce bandwidth costs, increase content availability, improvement in the website security, high speed content delivery, real time streaming, and multi-user scaling. Okay, so your website will be globally available at a very low latency. Okay, then we have the next thing is Amazon CloudFront. So what is Amazon CloudFront? Very briefly, Amazon CloudFront is basically a CDN. So what we have discussed till now, Amazon provided through its service called as CloudFront. So we have to make a CloudFront. I made a video of how to create a CloudFront, how to implement it. You can check that video out. So what is a CloudFront? It securely delivers content with low latency and high transfer speed. Okay, so let us see some characteristics of CloudFront. First application is reduce latency by delivering data through 410 plus globally dispersed points of presence with automated network mapping and intelligent routing. So intelligent routing is necessary to avoid the network congestion, to avoid any looping, and to get the shortest route possible. Second point, improve security with traffic encryption and access controls, and use AWS Shield standard to defend against DDoS attacks. DDoS means distributed denial of service attacks at no additional charge. DDoS are most commonly used attacks by the hackers. In this, the hacker, what hacker does is it overflows the network with unnecessary requests. So the cloud front also helps in avoiding DDoS attacks. Third, cut costs with consolidated requests, customizable pricing options, and zero fees for data transfer out from AWS origins. Last point, customize the code you run at the AWS CDN edge using serverless compute features to balance cost, performance, and security. So you can use a serverless service like a Lambda service with your CDN, and it perfectly attaches with it. Okay, and you can cut costs by customizing your CloudFront. So next, what internet content can CDN delivers? Well, CDN can deliver static content as well as dynamic content. Okay, so now is the main difference between content delivery using of static content and dynamic content using CDN is the static performance in static content is going to be very good of CDN, because the static content is not going to change in every second. It is just there, and the user can access it, and the user is going to access the most used data more frequently, so it can easily be cached. Now, in the dynamic content, what happens in the dynamic content is it CDN delivers what internet content can CDN delivers. A CDN can deliver both static content and dynamic content. Let's see what is in this, and we will discuss how it delivers it. A CDN can deliver two types of content, static and dynamic content. Static content is a website data that does not change from user to user. Website header images, logos, and font style remain the same across all users, and the business does not change them frequently. Static data does not need to be modified, processed, or generated, and is ideal for storage on a CDN. So why it is saying that it is ideal for storage on CDN? Because the static data does not change, so it can be easily cached. What is the cache data? Which is very frequently accessed by the user. So a static content which is not going to be changed, and a static website or a static the user is going to access only that data which is very frequently used. So static website or a static content is the ideal content to be attached with the CDN. Now in terms of dynamic content, the CDN does not perform as it performs for static, because the dynamic content changes frequently. The social media site, the Sensex data, the weather data, it is going to change very frequently. So we cannot cache it as easily we can cache the data of the static data. So in dynamic content, let's see, the dynamic content such as social media news feeds, weather reports, login status, and chat messages vary among website users. This data changes based on the user's location, login time, and user preferences, and the website must generate the data for every user and every user interaction. So this is why dynamic content is slightly harder to handle. Now, how to lower the latency of a dynamic content? By creating good routing protocols, we can lower the latency of the dynamic content. So moving forward, I have created a video how to implement the CDN. Also, you can check that video out. Okay, so thank you for